Hey everyone, so it came out yesterday that the proposal from Bernie Sanders to have Medicare for all would end up costing around $32,600,000,000,000 over 10 years. Now let me start off by saying this is why you cannot trust Bernie Sanders. This is why he is incompetent. If he is going to propose a program like this, which is a complete and total government takeover of the healthcare industry, the likes of which Scandinavian countries and even China don't have, then he needs to come out with his own cost projections. If he is going to advocate such a gigantic government takeover of an entire industry, he had better have all his ducks lined in a row before he opens his mouth on this. Now, it is true that every time he is asked about paying for his pet projects, he has an answer that he repeats over and over: increase taxes on the rich. Now, all billionaires in the US have a combined wealth of about $2.4 trillion. You can take everything down to the last penny away from the billionaires. You can liquidate all their assets, sell them off, and you still haven't raised enough money to cover this program for 1 year. And guess what? Taking all money away from billionaires is a one-shot deal. You can only do it once because that wallet is now empty. You have to find something else to loot. Okay, so he also talks about decreasing spending on our military. That's something I'm not fundamentally opposed to, as our military is way overbloated with our 700 some odd bases around the world, the bureaucratic waste in the military, the billions of dollars spent on projects that go nowhere. There is definitely room to cut in the military without sacrificing a robust defense. But for argument's sake, let's say you cut the military 100%. You just get rid of it outright. You've just raised about $600 to $700 billion annually. That, coupled with the money you took from the billionaires, will get you to a point where you can pay for this Medicare for all for about 1 year. That's it. And then after that, as I said, that billionaire grab bag is gone. Where do you get the rest of the money? Well, Bernie Sanders actually told us this during his debate with Ted Cruz a few years ago. He kind of had to be pushed on it, but he said that all Americans, not just the super rich, which he loves to demonize, but all Americans from lower to middle to upper class will have to endure a tax increase. So there it is. It pains him to say it, as he constantly promotes himself as a savior for the working class, but that's what it comes down to. He is going to confiscate more of your wealth to pay for this garbage government care, because I'll tell you something else. All those Scandinavian countries with highly socialized medicine, they benefit off the research and development that our for-profit companies engage in. They should be shaking in their boots, because the number one place that they get their new technology and new pharmaceuticals from will now have a near unaccountable government at the helm, rather than at least semi-private companies in the US with a profit motive. The Swedes are going to suffer right along with all of us Americans. And the reason why I mention this is because there was a video I watched of a person from Sweden. He was an economist, I believe, who actually mentioned exactly this. He warned the United States. In fact, he kind of begged. He said, don't go down the same road Sweden has gone down, because if you lose your for-profit sector in healthcare and you lose all the research and development, then Sweden, the country that benefits from all of that, suffers as well. So that's the only reason why I mention that. But lastly, here is another huge issue Bernie Sanders doesn't even try and wrestle with. This will destroy the naturally emergent price system that comes about from free individuals voluntarily trading and transacting with one another. With a total government takeover, you will not see a bill. That much is true. You won't see a bill when you get some procedure done. Do you think that will have an upward or downward pressure on prices? It will, of course, have an upward pressure, but you'll never see it. As government takes over, there will be little to no price sensitivity. People won't be looking for the best deals. There will be no competition, and that spells disaster for trying to keep prices in check as far as the government is concerned. And it will end up being a few hundred or a few thousand bureaucrats making decisions on where resources should be allocated, instead of hundreds of millions of people making millions of decisions every day, given their own situation, given their own wants and their own needs. You'll just have a relatively small group of government officials making decisions for these millions of people. This is the fatal conceit defined. For Bernie Sanders to believe he has the capacity to make these decisions for hundreds of millions of people is arrogance beyond the bounds of what anyone should accept. Bernie Sanders couldn't even get the cost of this proposed program right. What makes you think that he's going to be able to run it successfully, or even find the correct people to run it? Spoiler alert, it will never happen. It will not be done effectively with a country of 325 million people to babysit. But that's all for now. Thanks.